Hey everybody, welcome to the fifth and final segment of this presentation. And two things before we begin here. One is I apologize for the delay. I had a job that came up and it kind of delayed the whole getting this out. Second is, there was a comment about, why beat around the bush? You could have put all this out in 5 minutes. Well, I'll tell you this video, there's no easy way to present everything that I've read and put it in the evidence that you need in 5 minutes. Impossible. That's not what I do here. I'm an evidence-driven channel. And to present the evidence, it's going to take however long it takes. I don't force anybody to watch the video. I do it because this is what I found and I want to share it with everybody. I want everybody to know it. So that's how it's going to be, and this one's going to be no different. It's going to be a long video. So hey, you can see that when you look at when you're getting ready to start, you'll see how long it's going to be. All right. So here's the thing, everybody, folks. So I intentionally left this piece out of the fourth segment. I wanted to hear everybody's thoughts on my conclusion that the World Federation that was presented in Childhood's End is indeed our World Economic Forum. And this piece right here proved it to me beyond doubt. The other thing that I thought about and that was going to be the nail in the coffin for the whole World Economic Forum and what they're about is the question then, is anything else that take place in Childhood's End going to be mirrored in our reality? So if the World Federation is a mirror of the World Economic Forum, is there going to be a visit? Or is there going to be visitors? Is there going to be a decimation of mankind? Well, folks, welcome to the fifth and final segment. Let's begin. So now I want to take you to this and remember this. For all that these overlords, when they came to visit, they were able to make people rise from the dead so that they could communicate with their loved ones the message that the overlords had for humanity. But yet the overlords had to gather up a human worker group called the World Federation to bring about the agendas that they had for mankind: sustainable development, renewable energy, climate change, food for all, health care, all that stuff. And I was like, well, wait a minute. There's some kind of clue here. And this billboard kind of gave it away. We're all in it together. Well, interestingly enough, the World Economic Forum stated, we are all in this together. And that was their mantra. That was their slogan, their catchphrase. And we see that all of a sudden, kind of like how Biden, the Build Back Better, was a World Economic Forum mantra. Well, Biden, why did he just like the saying? Did someone clue him in to some words that were being used by the World Economic Forum? Build Back Better, and he picked up on it? No, it's because that's the agenda, folks. Biden's all part of this. We know this. I don't have to harp on all that so you guys to know what the deal is. But this phrase, "we are all in this together," was really kicked up during the vid crisis. Okay. So then that left me a question. Well, since I'm already asking, is there any other part of Childhood's End going to be mirrored in our reality? Why did the World Economic Forum only step out of the shadow, so to speak, when the vid became a thing? Or I should say, you know what I'm saying. It's not a thing, but it is a thing. You know what I'm saying? So why did they step out of the shadows then? And I think that part of the question that I had about, is any other part of Childhood's End going to be mirrored in our reality, I think could be answered when we look at some of the other activities that went on that the World Economic Forum never stepped out of the shadows about. And we'll be looking at all of that. Okay, so interestingly enough, the World Economic Forum started in 1971, and it could not have been hatched from a lot of the issues that they focus on now. For one, there was no such thing as a fourth industrial revolution that they are declaring right now, because there wasn't even a third at the time. There was no technological revolution. So the whole thing is all of their goals have kind of shifted. It's like it's not so much shifted, but it's like they've been altering their existence to fit their agenda as they go along, so to speak. But not so, because their whole agenda, their whole conception was to foster or bring about what was planned for probably decades, if not longer, before. And I will show you exactly what all that means. So in 1971, everybody, the World Economic Forum started as the European Management Forum. And they changed their name to the World Economic Forum, and then they were reflecting the expansion of the forum's scope and focus. So what is interesting is that, as I've already pointed out, the Gotthard Tunnel ritual took place in Switzerland, exactly where the World Economic Forum's headquarters is, Davos. And a lot of the elite somebodies of this world were in attendance. And everybody knew exactly what they were seeing. Everybody knew what the ritual was about. The person from the outside looking in, for most part, wouldn't have a clue as to what was going on. So that was one clue for you right there, that there are people behind the scenes. They know things that either we're not supposed to, or they think that everybody doesn't. But that's what our whole job on this platform is to get to the answers of the things that the common people don't know. But when we do that, we're called conspiracy theorists, right? Okay. So now, with that being said, let's get on to the good stuff. So I would like to state this beforehand, is that all documents are going to be from the World Economic Forum unless otherwise specified. I will let you know when a particular document I'm using or referring to is other than European or World Economic Forum. So here, when I read this, and we're talking about the World Economic Forum stepping out of the shadows, committed to improving the state of the world. Okay, well, that's kind of general comment there. Considering that the Georgia Guidestones are committed to improving the state of the world. It's just they're committed to improving it with less people on it, so that they can be one with nature, and that so the Georgia Guidestones really are committed to the same thing. So what exactly are they saying by saying this? Well, I think it should be obvious that when you think about things like the tribes of Rwanda, and one tribe, just slaughtering another, and governments and corporations and World Economic Forum, none of them stepped in and condemned anything. Hundreds of thousands of people were slaughtered, killed in the most heinous and atrocious ways. Did anybody hear of the World Economic Forum stepping out of the shadows then and going, hey, you know what, we really care about humanity and the future of mankind, and this really needs to stop now? No. Did you hear of the United Nations sending peacekeepers to put a stop to the slaughter? No. Did you hear of governments sending in military to stop these tribes from killing another? No. So what I'm telling you is if you really think that the World Economic Forum is some altruistic mankind a helper, enabler, whatever, then you got a sad reality coming to you. That's what I can tell you now. That's not what they're about. They could care less about mankind, and I think that I think the Georgia Guidestones are going to play into this in a way that we know that someone put those Georgia Guidestones up because they were going to be a guide for some future usage or future commandments, so to speak. So when I thought about that, okay, so the Georgia Guidestones, they're 1980, so somebody has been thinking these thoughts, or somebody has been having these goals for our world for the longest. But it goes deeper than that. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts with you on that. And hey, you know what? Hey, if it took that long, so be it. So in 1962, this journalist, Kermit Roosevelt, writing out for a news article out of Manchester, New Hampshire, she starts talking about this Temple of Understanding of the United Nations, and also about the prayer room of the U.S. Capitol. And she's talking about these groups in attendance that have some master plan for the future of humanity. This universal, or this one world government, or the citizen of the world. So I ask you, since we've been seeing all of this, front and center, as of several years ago, we saw on the side of the Pope's airplane, the one world, the world citizen, or what, global citizen, wherever they called it. And then we saw that their other stuff that they were pushing for this global citizenry thing. That everybody join hands. Everybody, we need to get along. Stop the war. Stop this. All that good stuff. We've seen that. So this is not a new concept, that they've been planning this stuff for the longest. So how does the World Economic fit into all of this and what I'm thinking? Okay, so let's look at her articles here so you can get an understanding about this, what she saw, because she went and attended these meetings to get to the bottom of what she is seeing. Now check this out. Where is it? It was very, very interesting because it had to do with the diamond the diamond shape I saw on Superman's costume, and I also saw the diamond on the Transformers Sector 7 agent shirt, and it was kind of like, here. Mrs. Besant's temple featured 6 symbolic presentations of the 6 great international faiths in the lecture hall. Visiting adepts contemplated a mural of a 6-pointed theosophical star made of 2 interlocking triangles connected by a serpent. Okay, so I'm sure no one's going to know where I'm going with this yet, but the theme is repeated in the Temple of Understanding. The brochure informs us that the temple's 6 wings will contain the cultural facets of the Diamond of Truth. So in the other presentations, I showed you about Christian Lagarde's magic number 7 speech and how it had the number. The number is reflective of a certain entity. Well, the number 6 is also reflective of another entity. And you should be able to garner who that entity is. One, take a look at Childhood's End, Corellin. Take a look at the entity of the portrait on Superman versus Batman, or Batman versus Superman, where he says, ding, 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 the god is dead, and he is coming. And they show you the portrait, and it looks just like the guy from Childhood's End. The other presentation I showed you, they've been venerating a certain entity by the name of Enki, Cronus, Saturn, Ra, corporate logos, the all-seeing eye, the Ouroboros. It's all been evident, they've been showing, and that's who they venerate. It seems like they are quite aware that this entity is going to be returning, or that's their belief. Whatever your thoughts on it, doesn't really matter. It's what they think that matters. Okay, so the brochure informs us that the temple's 6 wings will contain the cultural facets of the Diamond of Truth. I do believe that they're talking about that logo that's on Superman's cape, his thing, and the diamond the NRO patch, the dragon circumferenced the world and had the diamond in its claws. or its tail. I'm sorry, its tail. And then, of course, Transformers, as I mentioned. So the thing is, what are they talking about? Well, it's quite simple, folks. One of the other things that is symbolic and it's evident in the United States is that the Statue of Liberty, Sol, S-O-L, is indeed Saturn, Cronus, Enki, Ra, Sol Invictus. And if you look at the, so you know who he is, and you know that Cronus was known by ancient historians as being El Cronus, which is the biblical El. So Saturn, Cronus, was the biblical god. When you realize that, and then you take a look at the I Pet Goat 2 video, and you see the Statue of Liberty in the water, you will see that they made it quite clear. The six-pointed star under the statue in the water is indeed Saturn Cronus. The Star of David represents who? That's right, Saturn Cronus. And this serpent that was on the interlocking triangles, okay, what is that about? Does anybody know that? Well, I have to take you here real quick for just a moment for you to see that. Dang it. The Brotherhood of the Snake. Who is it? I told you, Enki is Cronus, is Saturn, is Ra. And here is the Brotherhood of the Snake. They know what this is all about. Right here. The Brotherhood of the Snake. All about Enki, everybody. The return of Enki. That's what this is. So she goes on in her articles. It is interesting to note that for some time now, a group who call themselves the New Group of World Servers have been holding full moon meditation meetings at the Carnegie Endowment International Center in New York on December 21st. Yeah, interesting, right? December 21st, 2012, the end of an age, right? And on that date, they hold this meeting. Well, you know the significance. What was it? Winter equinox or winter solstice, whatever. This writer attended one of these meetings where pamphlets were distributed describing the New World religion. What has the Vatican? You know, you can tell that the Vatican's been on board is because they've been unifying all religions to make a one world religion. A lot of the religious groups that have made their way into the United Nations, whether it be Subud cult, whether it be Some Young Moon's unilateral Unification Church, whatever they call it, of South Korea, the Baha'i Faith, all of these, they all have been jockeying for position into the United Nations to bring this about. The New World religion. One world goodwill. Isn't basically, doesn't that sum up the World Economic Forum and all of their goals? They believe it is for the goodwill of mankind. Everything they're going to do? Yeah. The booklet described what some of the backers of the Temple of Understanding may have in mind. A new type of mystic is coming to be recognized, blah, blah, blah. So we don't need that part here, okay? The internationalist would-be elite gather to plan and plot world government. I heard a determined group of world servers led by Foster Bailey chant, in unison, their eerie great invocation. Let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. So, does everybody understand what exactly is being said right there? They're saying that they're masters over you, and they know the secrets that you don't. And they are going to guide your little wills because they're going to rule over you once all of their plans are realized. That's basically what it is. So now you have to ask yourself a question. If all of this is true then, and this is what this New World Order, hey, President George Bush, the father, was talking about it. Henry Kissinger talked about it. All of these individuals have talked about a New World Order, how there was going to be everything was going to be grand, and we're going to, if we're successful, and we will be, as Bush said, this has been in the works for the longest, folks. They've all been seeking to achieve this goal. But why? Why is everybody on board with making sure that this happens? Um, it can only be because every single one of the people that you see that are pushing for this are all venerating the exact same entity. Whether the Vatican uses the all-seeing eye, whether the Freemasons use the all-seeing eye, whether they're showing you the Ouroboros, whether they're showing you signs and symbols that show you the Shamash wheel at the Vatican obelisk, whatever the thing is, the purpose seems clear that it is behind this entity, as Childhood's End shows us, that the World Federation was born to bring about the goals that the visitors set to achieve. That's it. So all of these people all being in league with each other from different facets of the world, only because, well, you're rich and I'm rich. Hey, I like your idea. Let's all get everybody on board with it and let's do it. No, there's a reason for what they're doing. So, and they're saying the masters know and serve. So first, they're telling you that they're masters over you, but they serve somebody higher. The purpose which the masters know and serve is the real purpose of the world-minded masters of unism to guide and control us by pagan rites, she says. Okay, so now, when you think about this for a moment, the corporations that were involved in the Connecticut event that took place December 14th, 2012, we'll just say, I'm trying to use words that are not going to trigger an algorithm here, but Candy Crook comes to mind, okay? And when you are trying to pull off that big of a fraud on the American public, and you are using corporations to do it, and I mean like Ernst & Young, Brian Costanza allegedly worked there. You know who I'm talking about. Squeeter Stanza worked at GE, General Electric. Wozniacki, I'm just, just try to work with me here. Work with me on who I'm talking about. These people all worked at the corporations that would best be able to pull this off. Why? Because not only were they in league with the Nazis in World War II, but hell, they're in league with the World Economic Forum to bring about what they're trying to bring about. So whatever it was that we saw at Connecticut that day, you can best believe that it was to achieve some kind of agenda related to what they're doing right now with the World Economic Forum as being the front man. Does everybody understand that? Publicists for these tax-exempt project understanding, which is interesting because they go on to state that it was hairdressers, donations from taxi cab drivers, hairdressers, blah, blah, blah. But judging from the temple's printed list, it wasn't donors like hairdressers and taxi drivers. It was people like John D. Rockefeller, socialist leader Norman Thomas, all kinds of Cary Grant, Robert McNamara. All of these people, folks, were the donors in bringing all this about. Okay. Well, we see that we see the Rockefellers are all part of the World Economic Forum too. So obviously, okay, so I'll say it like this. We know that if the World Economic Forum was to win over and all of their plans and goals would be realized, then what does that say about all of this that they have been planning here for the longest? Does that mean that this is all squashed and we're just going to go with World Economic? No. It's because the World Economic Forum is the front guy to make all of this come about. Does everybody understand that? Party's California Labor School, who was identified as a party member at a January 22nd, 1956 hearing of the Subversive Activities Control Board, okay, Deputy Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, blah, 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 all that good stuff. At the Waldorf Starlight Roof, I heard Mrs. whoever her name is, who cares? President of the Temple of Understanding. And she was with 500 UN delegates and socialites. In a voice choked with fervor, she said, "We are seeding an idea to create a global symbol of the world." We are seeding an idea. Okay. Then she struck an egg with a wand, a gold egg, and out popped a magic golden tree with 6 branches on either side. There's the number 6 again, and if you take a look at iPet Goat 2 and you see how the egg, the Orphic egg, and it cracks open like that kid's head, and out comes the serpent with the kind of like the TV screen around its head, and he's got the pyramid over his eye patch. Do you see? They're showing you everything, just like in the dang movie X-Men Apocalypse, where he said all is revealed. Everything is revealed. You just have to be. You have to see this. You have to see this and know what that is they're showing you. If you can't see it, well, then then you're not. Well, I don't know. I guess you're not seeing it. Well, what more can I say about that? But 26 minutes. Holy crap. Okay. So now, what I'm basically telling you is, if we just get it in a nutshell, is that the World Economic Forum is now bringing about the goals that have been realized for years and years. And that is to bring about the one world government, the new world order, and then you have to ask, well, if they are successful, is something coming after that? Just like in Childhood's End, are we going to be seeing the decimation of mankind in one form or another? And that is where we're going to be going here, and pretty soon to check that out. Going back to Childhood's End, and you see how there was a return visit, and the one black scientist guy said, hey, these entities, they've been here before. They've been here before, and it's like our subconscious, we've been awaiting their return. This is from the World Servers, that group, the World Servers. And as a side note, I just want to let you know one of the things that Helen Blavatsky said. To rule men, you have to deceive them. If you want to be able to rule man, you have to deceive them. That's basically what she said. And the thing is we are being deceived, and they're going to do that. I mean, to rule us, they're doing that, but you have to look through the deception. And as I have already shown you, a lot of their deceptions are in the words that they use, or the claims that they make, or the promises that they make, or that all of that, the gifts that they give. So understand that when they tell you that we are concerned about the future of mankind, well, you sure didn't say anything when hundreds of thousands of black tribal members were being killed in Rwanda. So that there to me proves to me enough that this is not about mankind. It's something completely different. And I know I'm just screwing this all up. To further the work of the men of goodwill, to educate the masses in the fact that he for whom all men wait is on his way back to ordinary visibility. To overcome the materialism which has dominated mankind for all untold eons. To bring about the reconstruction of human affairs and thus purify and beautify our modern world. Whoa, that's like the Georgia Guidestones just met frickin' Childhood's End. It's like he just melded it together, and there you had it. Very, very interesting that they're talking about the return. Well, okay, so this has been something that they've been planning for. And I've mentioned in other videos that the Thule Society and the Black Sun, think about it, Black Star, David Bowie. That you saw the Economist magazine, inside the Black Star, the Black Sun. The Black Sun Society of Nazi Germany was all about, well, you know what? We know that the age of Aquarius, this dude's returning. We know that. Well, how did they know it? If they seem to have been against secret societies and everything else and all this other stuff, then why did they all know the same exact information? Why is it that they knew that there was some entity that was going to be returning? Where did they get this knowledge from, or where did they get this belief? That's the question. And, well, I don't know. But you can see all the evidence, like I said, corporate logos, movie symbology, all the different things that they point to the fact that that's the case. So, okay, so this right here is what you're seeing is very interesting. This is a civil disobedience meeting that was taking place for the World Economic Forum. So then my question is like this. Well, if all of your plans and all of your agenda actions that you got going on is going to be making everybody happy because your words is that you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, how could there possibly be any civil disobedience? It doesn't make a bit of sense that that's the case. Because, hey, like you said, everybody's going to be happy. There's no reason to worry about civil disobedience in a utopian world. Unless, of course, not everything is going to go like they say. Now, so I took a lot of these documents off of the World Economic Forum back from the Wayback Machine, because a lot of this, the only way I could find it was I had to go back in time to get it off their what's called. So I want you to check out about their quality project, okay? And their quality project, this is a lot of reading, everybody. So you can just imagine how much reading I had to do to get to the bottom of what they're all about. So take a look. Alerts. Number 7. If a site distributes disinformation, conspiracy theories, and the like as identified by organizations such as Data and Society. So they've already got all of this set up of what they're going to be watching for. So if the information is contrary to what they say it is, then you're a disinformationalist. If you are presenting your theory on something, they're labeling you a conspiracy theorist and they have their eye on you. And the EU Disinformation Initiative. This is valuable information to be collected. So you have no privacy. You cannot speak your mind without somebody watching everything that you do and say. Through the World Economic Forum, the project will convene stakeholders from journalism, media, technology, advertising, and government. Okay. So do you guys... So what do they say about journalism? What do they say about is going to be the trusted news source for the future for mankind, for everyone? So I want you to read this right here when it comes to news. Any other news other than what they say it is fake news. What they're telling you, basically, okay? Fully applying this approach is a huge task. But organizations are emerging to help. One such organization is United for News, a nonprofit coalition working in partnership with the World Economic Forum. United for News is focused on transforming media markets around the world so that citizens, businesses, and governments everywhere can benefit from the positive impact of high-quality local news and information. So they're saying you don't have a right to freedom of press to get the news where you want to get it from. They're saying that the only news that we want you to know about is what we deem is worthy. Or just like, oh yeah, if anything you say anything different, you're a conspiracy theorist. Is if you say anything other than what we say it is, you're spreading disinformation. So what I'm telling you is you can basically kiss your rights. Well, we've already kissed those goodbye, and those have been in the works. We see now that not only do I have not a right to say what I want to say, or I have my videos taken down, you don't have a right to get the news that you want. They're kind of controlling it to it's kind of like they're like leading the cattle through the gate. We're cutting you off from this way, we're cutting you off from this way, and you can only get it that way. So once they've narrowed it down, the only sources you can get news from is you're basically being indoctrinated with the mainstream media. Well, that's what they're trying to do anyway. Do you get what I'm getting at? That's my whole point. So watch. Here we go. So one of the Global Future Council on Information and Entertainment. Um, this is way out to me. So basically, like I said, the information is going to come from where they want you to receive your information from. You're going to be entertained in the way that they deem that you should get your entertainment. You don't have the freedoms to, if you want to go see Andrew Dice Clay perform stand-up, and what's called, well, no, that is not worthy of human consumption. Or if you want to see raunchy Eddie Murphy do stand-up, whatever the case is, we're basically looking at a 1984 meet on steroids with whatever. The thing is that they are in the works of limiting down everything that you take in, everything that you are taught. Look at Common Core. Why do you think Common Core was started? So your kids can be indoctrinated with stupidity at an early age. United for News, empowering media in a disruptive world. Trusted, high-quality news and information are critical to functional societies. So, you know what? There's been conspiracy theories since I've known JFK was assassinated. And are you trying to say that because conspiracy theories have been around that we are dysfunctional? Are you trying to say that if we are not accepting of mainstream media news source, that we're dysfunctional? Anyway, information are critical to functional societies. Political stability, healthy local economies, and economic growth. They also serve as powerful counterweights. Okay? So, I'm just... This is stuff that you already know. I know that. And I know that this video is going on for so long that you're like, dude, shut the hell up already. Well, you know what? I'm sharing with you my thoughts because, and this is highly upsetting to me that everything that I've seen that you haven't seen yet, well, so one of the other things that I see that the World Economic Forum, of course, is the front man to bring about something, or bring about exactly what I've been showing you. And they make it clear that if there are corporations that they're partnered with them, if they don't toe the line, they're out. And they state it almost just like that, but you'll see what I mean. Since the membership cancellation rate is extremely low and the applications for membership of the World Economic Forum are many, we have had to ask members who do not fulfill our standards in terms of global impact to leave. Oh, so your standards, okay, as I said, Pepsi, Nestle, Coca-Cola, water bottles, polluting the waters. So your standards haven't been very high. So what exactly are you meaning that if they don't meet your standards, you've been asking them to leave? Oh, you mean if they don't want to go along with the Grand Master Plan once they've been told what's coming, they can kick rocks in. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? Because I guarantee you your standards, from all of the evidence, is crap. It's absolute crap. And so they go on to state that their objectives have to be met. And we only want corporations on board with us that are going to help make these goals and agenda realized. So that's what they're saying. So again, I want to show you the IBM, all of these corporations right here, and you're going to see it. Like I said, think about the corporations that helped to pull off the fraud of Connecticut. Okay? IBM. Stephen Reps. Oh, he worked at IBM. And I'm now mentioning names. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. I already said it. I already mentioned it. Whatever happened there, I do believe it's tied in with what their agenda, part of their agenda was to make this all come about? Is it gun control? Is it, well, maybe, hold on, think about it this way. Think about it logically. If all of a sudden you're starting to pull off all of these school fraud events, and you're all of a sudden gun control starts getting talked about, and then the people of the United States start going out and just buying up guns left and right. Well, now when you're doing that, now there's going to be a war against the people because, well, the people knew that this time was coming, and so they're going out and getting their accumulation of guns, and now that gives you the perfect opportunity to bring in military from outside sources, whether it be Sweden, the Baltic, whoever, Russia, whatever they are, and you bring them in, and there's a war with U.S. citizens against whoever these other countries' military. We've seen that these other countries' military have been training in the United States. I'm not saying that they're here to take it over or to get into war with the people of the United States, but it seems rather strange to me that if your whole agenda is to promote gun control after some of these fraudulent events happen, well, you're not slowing down the purchase of guns or the amount of guns that are owned. So what is it really going to lead to? And that's just one thing that you can think about. Is that what it's all about? So that covers that. So now I want you to go take you to this meeting here that took place, and Bill Clinton, President Clinton, was in attendance. And I want you to see some of the words that he used here. And this is him here, quoting him. Now, that means, it seems to me, that we must face another challenge. The second point I want to make is that developing countries will only reap the benefits of integration in the world economy if the industrialized countries are able to garner enough domestic support for policies that are often controversial at home. It is easier for us to gather here in vigorous agreement, and I'm glad, well, okay, he goes on, blah, 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 that doesn't mean anything right here. But most of us here agree with everything I just said. Why? Well, we have seen and personally felt the benefits of globalization. But convincing our publics to go along, to go for the greater integration in a rule-based system, which might require them to change further and might require some of them, unlike most of us, to change what they do for a living, remains a challenge. Does everybody understand what he just said? That not everybody is going to go along with what's coming. What World Economic Forum is going to bring about, the United States is not going to go along with it. A lot of people ain't. So that means there's a war coming. And just like I showed you about all of those guns being accumulated, is that what he's talking about? Is there going to be some kind of war with the citizens of the United States? Could be. Are you talking about, a lot of people, you got a lot of these sheep docile that it's going to be, to them, they might think that this is going to be easy pickings. It's going to be easy to bring this about because there's not going to be enough resistance to even worry about. I don't know. But looking at the words used, unlike most of us, to change what they do for a living. So they're going to tell you now that, oh, hey, you know what? You're the CEO of Merrill Lynch. Well, we know that's not going to change anything there. But you're the so-and-so of what's called. Well, we need you flipping burgers, or we need you to do this, or because this is going to be a communist a country now, because that's what it's leaning towards, communism. You ain't going to own nothing. You're going to be happy. We're going to need you to make. Hey, buddy. Hey, you're added into the video right now. I'm making it. I'm doing the last part right now, and you're in it.
I am?
Yeah. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
So let me put it on pause. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that interruption. And like I said, this is coming from the president talking about. So you're not going to have any freedoms to do what you want to do. Unlike most of us, to change what they do for a living. Are they going to ask you to change? Are they going to demand that you change what you do for a living? Are you going to have a choice to do what you want to do? Because as last I remember, if you wanted to frickin' flip burgers or you wanted to be a nuclear physicist, it was all the matter of your drive, your desire to be what you want to be. But it seems in the utopian world that they're trying to set up for you, you're not going to have that. Does everybody see that? Okay. So this is just to show you about data storage. Okay, Project Meridio, and Project Meridio, with in conjunction or in association with the World Economic Forum, is focused on establishing this new paradigm for personal data that provides citizens with agency over their data while establishing and supporting independent publishers as the most valuable place for quality advertising and scaled user engagement. The project focuses on improving the process of how user data is leveraged and managed across the open web by developing a solution to provide greater control to citizens and quality publishers over user data in the digital economy. And they go on to talk about permissioned data. So if it's not permitted, the only way that you're going to be able to store something is if it's permitted content. That's what they go on to talk about. And an open source initiative to develop and manage a new global standard of schema for user data that streamlines related value chains and better empowers individuals. To open source project will initially define and maintain a standardized user data schema. This will serve as the structure for managing first-party data gathered in the context of trusted relationship between publisher and user. A nonprofit global marketplace for publishers to trade permissioned user data. For publishers to trade permissioned user data. Okay. So, with the overall objective of reducing reliance on third-party source personal data that may not have been consented to by citizens, the marketplace will serve as a... So, I take that back. So, the whole thing is it's a permission, is they have to have permission to share. But the thing is, okay, so even if it isn't about, what content is allowed, so if that's not the issue, it should concern you is that the World Economic Forum in every facet of your life is going to be involved in how you live it. Whether it's user data, whether it's the corn you eat, whether it's the entertainment that you consume, whether it's whatever. Somehow the World Economic Forum has their hand in every cookie jar. Isn't that concerning? It is to me. Here's the Board of Stewards shaping the future of information and entertainment. They're going to shape the future for what information you receive and what entertainment that you consume. And here's that board right here. Yeah, the New York Times is involved. Come on now. Show me where any alternative news site has been picked to be anything. No, because the alternative news is not is not part of they're not servants of the agenda. Take a look. These are the Board of Stewards. Okay. So because I've been talking about so much and I can't remember exactly all that I've covered so far, this is all the councils. Okay? This is from 2013, Global Agenda Councils. And one of the councils is Role of Faith. So, as I've already said, that you can tell by even just looking at the Pope's plane, back when we saw the One World or the global citizen movement that was going on, that we saw, we could see that the Vatican is very complicit in everything that's going on. For one, are we to believe that the Vatican is just going to release their stranglehold on the Catholics that are members of their church? No. So the thing that has me thinking about this is that one, like I said, we see that obviously the Vatican had played some kind of role, and the Knights of Columbus too, in the whole Connecticut fraud. And we also see that, and I will say this, I've already admitted that I was a Mormon for 8 years, from the age of 10 to 18. Uh, all of a sudden, I'm a shill, and I'm all part of the Grand Master Plan. When I admit that I was a Mormon for 8 years, but I'm no longer a Mormon because I saw exactly what they were all about. So when I admit to this freely, that I start getting slammed. Okay. Well, the thing is you know what? Yeah, I did see the deceit later on in years. I wasn't all into this at age 10 to 18. I wasn't concerned about the state of the world and everything that was going on around me. I was a kid living my life. Yeah, I was a screw up, but so what? So the thing is that I know that the Mormon Church is about taking care of their own. And I mean, Deseret Industries is all about making sure that the members of their church are fed. They can their own foods. They have preparations for the White Horse Apocalypse. They have preparations for all kinds of things that they think are going to happen. And I've looked and I have yet to see any of the high of the quorum of 12 or the 72, whatever they are. I can't remember the names, but I can't see that they're talking about relinquishing any kind of control over the members of their church. I see that the Pope has talked about it. I see that he wrote a letter about it, but I have not seen this. So what exactly is the Mormon Church going to play? Because that's been a thing that's interested me, how that's all going to play out, considering that they've all been preparing for this White Horse apocalyptic thing, and how they've always been about making sure that their members of the church are provided for. Well, it seems like the World Economic Forum is making all of the plans for everything. So where do they fit in and all of that? I don't know. So, but anyway, just I wanted to share that thought with you. Watch this predictions here, shall we? You know what? Well, we're gonna have to see that again because we actually could not see it. All right, here we go. God dang it! Okay, so what did you just take away from what you saw? Well, the thing is according to the members of these partners of the World Economic Forum, their prediction is you won't own anything, but you'll be happy, and everything that you want you will rent, and it will be brought to you by drone. Okay, here's the problem though. If you don't own anything, and if this is directed at every single person on this planet or in this country, then tell me, who in the hell is going to own the drones? Who in the hell is going to own the property that you need to rent? Well, it's the corporations that are going to be in control. They are going to own everything, and you're going to be nothing but serfs. They're telling you that. Do you need any more evidence than that? That there has to be an owner somewhere. Are you going to tell me the government, the United States government, is going to control everything about what production, about ownership? No. So what have they told you? That's right. You're going to own nothing because the corporations are going to own everything and they are going to control everything, and they're going to try to control you. That's their words, not mine. You see it. So as I've already pointed out in some of the shows on Revolution Radio, is that all of you can see this was from 1999. Over the years, the annual meeting of the members of the World Economic Forum in Davos has become the world's global business summit. At the annual meeting, 1,000 top business leaders, 250 political leaders, 250 foremost academic experts in every domain, including many Nobel Prize winners and some 250 media leaders, come together to shape the global agenda. Okay. Together, they address the key economic, political, and social issues in a forward-looking, action-oriented way. Do you understand the concept of the American people voting for a president? Is that president is going to serve the will of the people? Do you think it is the will of the people to then hand over control to an outside entity of our choosing? We chose the president to do that for us. Well, that's what it's supposed to be about, right? So now all of a sudden you're saying that you know what? Hey, it's gonna that's it's not no longer that's being handed over by your political structure is handing all of that over the control to us. Okay, so political leaders, all that good stuff. Discussions are held at the highest level among participants who belong to the same community of top decision makers. The people. Let me tell you something. We could tell who the decision makers in the United States were supposed to be because we decided to go to war with the crown in the revolution, the Revolutionary War. We decided that. The decision makers only are supposed to follow the will of the people. And I'm just saying that with this, you can see that they're not leaving anything up to the will of the people whatsoever. Is that everything that they're doing, their agenda, their whole global shaping and everything, is all with elites, corporations, journalists, politicians, and it's hard. It's hard to believe that these people who are getting voted in are handing over. It's like they've been, they've been approached. You know what? Hey, we're going to be running things. You're going to do what we tell you. Oh, you're not one of the. You're not from the. The big man's club yet. We're going to tell you how it's going to be, and that's how it's going to be. Is that what it is? Which is very conducive to a forward-looking approach in addressing key issues of global relevance or initiating new business contexts. And they go on to tell you, like I said, all of this is being shaped for your future, not by you, because you don't have any say. And the will of the people, as I showed you, what would the Temple of Understanding? What did they say? Let purpose be the guide to the will of the little men, the masters and blah, whatever they serve. You remember the quote. So that tells you your will means nothing because we're the masters and you will do what we say because we serve even higher one than that. And they go on to tell you just like that. All right. So here was that message of the Holy Father to the Executive Chairman of the World Economic Forum. This 2020. The following is a message sent by the Holy Father Francis to Professor Klaus Schwab. Yeah. So this one guy creates some idea in 1971, and all of a sudden, he's like the God who of all things. But you see, the World Economic Forum is going to be involved in every facet of your life. I showed you that. So now this guy is like, is he the Antichrist? Is he, what the hell's the deal that everybody is like just climbing on board with this guy's idea that the future of mankind needs to be guided by this one man. And all of the evidence I've shown you shows that it's not for your benefit. It's absolutely not. As the World Economic Forum celebrates its 50th anniversary, I send greetings and prayerful good wishes to all taking part in this year's gathering. So he goes on to state here that he won't be able to make it, but I'm going to send, one of my, whatever. In these years, the World Economic Forum has offered an opportunity for the engagement of diverse stakeholders to explore innovative and effective ways of building a better world. It has also provided an arena where political will and mutual cooperation can be guided and strengthened in overcoming the isolationism, individualism, and ideological colonization that sadly characterizes too much contemporary debate. In light of the ever-growing and interrelated challenges affecting our world, the theme you have chosen to consider this year, Stakeholders for a Cohesive and Sustainable World, points to the need for a greater engagement of all at all levels in order to address more effectively the diverse issues for facing humanity. Throughout the past 5 decades, we have witnessed geopolitical transformations and significant changes from the economy and labor markets to digital technology and the environment. So as you can see, all of this, he doesn't say, you know what, keep your hands off my freaking flock, dude. None of that. This is all they're all working. They're all working together to bring about this. If you're going to tell me that the Vatican doesn't know exactly what the hell this is all about, you're crazy. That's absolute lunacy. That I would just be an outsider looking in and go, wait a minute. So you're telling me these corporations were all about stealing the water from countries under water privatization, but yet these are the that's like putting Saudi Arabia in charge at the United Nations for human rights when they're the worst violators of human rights there are. But yet we saw that, didn't we? And how many of us spoke up and said, wait a minute, Saudi Arabia is in charge of human rights? The people that'll chop off the heads or women can't drive cars or chopping off the arm of a guy who steals a goat? You're telling me that they're in charge of human rights. So you're telling me that corporations that are involved in stealing water from countries are in partnership with an entity that is bringing about what they claim is goodwill for the future of mankind. Now tell me what is wrong with that picture. And tell me that there aren't people seeing this and going, this can't be good. Really? So anyway, I'm just telling you that it should be evident that all of the stuff that we are seeing is not for our benefit. It's not for our goodwill. And you guys already know that. So now that I'm going to try to cut this off here pretty quickly. There's a few more things I want to show you, and then I want to show you the bad thing. Okay, so obviously everything. So if you want to preserve resources, or you want to make sure that everybody's fed, or you want to make sure that there's renewable energies and everything. So tell me, why are you in the plans of restructuring everything about human life? And they go on to tell you the Future Role of Civil Society project was launched in June of 2012 with the desire to explore the rapidly evolving space in which civil society actors operate. The project focuses on two central questions. What might the contextual environment for civil society look like in 2030? How might models of engagement for civil society, business, government, and international organizations evolve in these new contexts? Non-governmental organizations, labor leaders, faith-based organizations, religious leaders, and other civil society representatives play a critical and diverse set of roles in societal development. In the last 2 decades, these roles have shifted as the external environment for civil societies, where you see it. Recently, a renewed focus on the essential contribution of civil society to a resilient global system, alongside government and business has emerged. No. The thing is that now that you are guiding how we live our lives, it's pitting us in that position. So what I'm saying is this: a renewed focus of essential contribution of civil society to a resilient global system. How are they going about doing it? Well, when all of a sudden you start promoting something, and then all of a sudden people start picking up on it, and then all of a sudden it becomes a battle cry, or it becomes everybody in unison asking for the same thing. We want to be part of the global citizen movement. That's brainwashing. You're brainwashing people into doing things that you want them to do, or what you want them to desire for themselves. That's a form of brainwashing. Eric Holder said it best: we need to brainwash these people to think about guns in an entirely different way. So now you got to think about, social. The civil society is now all of a sudden you have to, you have to go along with the whole global system that they're going to provide for you. Well, you're going to have to adapt because they're not really leaving much of a choice. You're going to have to change the way you live. That's what they're saying. You have to change the way you live. This is a mandate. I'm saying that we don't have a choice, or they're not giving us a choice on how this is going to play out. Does everybody understand that? Does everybody come to that realization that you're not being left with any kind of choice in this regard? So, all right. So another thing that should become abundantly clear is that the accelerating pace of change means opportunities come to the strategic, the quick, the knowledgeable, and the dedicated. A few companies are embracing a new way to create value, swiftly responding to new opportunities or competitive threats with a high velocity approach. They shape opportunities rather than react to them. Companies bound by sluggish habits, many want to consider the high speed track of growth. Okay, all that right here. So, what I found interesting was the word shareholders. So, we have seen this being used with all of the World Economic Forum documents, pretty much, is that the corporate partners that are involved with World Economic Forum are called shareholders. But that would indicate that their ownership, they have some kind of ownership in something, right? How could the citizen, or how could the average man like you and me, who has no say in the shaping of the agenda of our future, how could we be deemed shareholders when we're being told that we're not going to own any property, we're not going to own anything, and we're going to be happy? We have no shareholders in anything. So obviously, that tells you that all of the corporations are going to rule and have ownership of everything. You will own nothing. And I seriously doubt you're going to be happy about that, but that's what they're telling you. Activist shareholders demand focused strategic moves and precisely targeted resource allocation. Major players need to make decisions quickly and always in the context of the organization's strategic vision. Well, guess what? If we all of us became an organization of resistance to what they're trying to pull, you know what? Then we would be deemed with a strategic vision, wouldn't we? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Is stand up to, that's what they did in the Revolutionary War. They stood up to the oppression, to the oppressive mandates of the king. You know, the Stamp Act, the all that stuff that they were doing to extract taxes from the colonists, and they stood up. They organized. They became a strategic organization to take on the crown. Of course, with the help of France and Spain. But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? So it's going to require some strategic vision on our part to unify if we were to ever do anything about it. But I seriously doubt that's going to happen. But just thought I'd share with you some insight on that. For manufacturers or service providers, opportunities to enhance shareholder value can be found by adopting an asset productivity approach. The astute can often boost performance and output while simultaneously minimizing investment in such fixed assets as new plant and equipment. Okay. So again, I say, if we're not going to own anything, then who in the hell is going to be owner of the drones and the stuff that you rent? As you can see, that this is not going to work out well for you if they own everything and you own nothing, right? Does that make sense? So what I found rather interesting from last year, the Davos depopulation and climate crisis talk, so disturbing and accurate. So their talk was disturbing, and they were using information or statistics that were inaccurate to the conversation they were having. That's what was being said here, and this is not a World Economic Forum document. This is it's Friends of Science. Okay. So what was interesting about this is that at this World Economic Forum, where Jane Goodall and others were in attendance, concluded leaving some commentators concerned about depopulation talk from high-profile individuals, Jane Goodall, where she misinterpreted some of the findings by Greta Thunberg and talk of doomsday battles by Al Gore. So she says, what does Goodall say? Goodall's statement shocked many people, claiming all these environmental things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that was 500 years ago. And how much did they say that population was? 500 million. Oh, wow. Oh, you mean the exact same population number as the Georgia Guidestones, everybody? Just, well, here it is. There you go. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. All the global stuff right here. Unite humanity with new living language. So unite humanity under one global leadership. Guide reproduction wisely. rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Boy, man, that sounds almost like the World Economic Forum commandments right here on the wall. Right? Is anybody seeing that? So Jane Goodall is talking about, well, 500 million. What, that's with everything that we're talking about. That's what we need to get down to for this to be the ideal solution. Depopulation notions stem from apocalyptic climate visions, not risky business reports, all of this good stuff. We've seen Henry Kissinger talk about depopulation, all that stuff. All right. So anyway, Jane Goodall's talking. They were having Here's what's concerning, folks. You're having depopulation talks at these meetings, World Economic Forum. If you're talking about that you are concerned about the future of humanity, well, hell, depopulation shouldn't even be among the conversation, but it was. And the fact that the number that was pushed around was 500 million ought to be concerning, because the Georgia Guidestones have been there since 1980. And they've obviously known that this was going to need to be a thing sometime in the future. And that's the reason why the World Economic Forum waited to come out of the shadows when the vid hit in 2020, rather than waiting for them to come out and say anything about Rwanda, where 200,000 tribal members were killed, while no corporation, no government agent, no government body, and no United Nations, no Vatican, nobody stood up and condemned the atrocities that were going on. But yet you're going to come out of the shadows when the vid hits. Why? Because the time was right, everybody. The time was right, and those Georgia Guidestones were put there to be used at a future time, or precepts for a future time. And then you have to ask yourself, is that future time now? If I consider the words used by the guy in the show Childhood's End, where he said, "Gentlemen, welcome to the golden age of man." That golden age of man is now. The reason why they didn't step out of the shadows then, it had nothing to do with them caring about humanity, because they surely don't care about that. They care about what's to come. And I've showed you what's to come. But now I want to take you to the new disclaimer that is on the Deagle.com. Do you guys remember Deagle? You guys remember? I'm going to show you just a couple pieces from Deagle from before, okay? And we will take a look at their old projections, okay? So their old projections, let me see if I have it here. This might be kind of a new, we don't want that one. We don't want that one. Nope. We want to go to, sorry folks. So all of you who have been following the Deagle.com story, we started investigating this when Tom Clancy mysteriously died, and we found that he was using this website to obtain a lot of his global military equipment technological names for their equipment. In other words, if there was an SB-81 rocket launcher from Poland that he was using in the book, he would come here and he would get the names for those items that he would use in the book. So anyway, this became like, well, let's check out this Deagle.com that accumulates all of the global military and other information relating to a country, and they keep it right here. So what we noticed is that there was a forecast for the population country by country, and the United States was going to drop 80, was going to be down to 80, it was going to drop 83%. So basically what I'm telling you is 360 some odd, roughly 350 million people were going to be, out of that 350 million, there was going to be 69 million left at the time that we were first started reporting this. So then the forecast over the years after that started dropping down from 69 to 59 to 51, and now it is currently at 99 million. So by the year 2025, this site is claiming that not only is the United States going to take a huge hit, but all of the white Anglo-Saxon countries, the Netherlands, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, and I go on, are going to take a huge population hit in their country. The United States is going to lose, as you see in here, it goes on right here. Look at this. So this number, 323, we're going to be left. And there was people erroneously stating at first that, oh no, it's going to drop 54 million. No, it's not. It's going to drop from 323,990 at the time of this forecast down to a whopping 54 million citizens left in the United States. Okay, that's what it was going to be left with. Now I want you to read the disclaimer about this depopulation forecast. So when we first started reporting, and Deagle got wind of the fact that we were reporting this information, they decided that they were going to claim that they were hacked. But we know that not to be true because we started going to the Wayback Machine and noticed that their forecast had been going on for years, and their forecasts were population decimation for years. So that would mean that they had to have been hacked every year when the forecast was put up. That's a lie. And then they admitted to the fact that they weren't hacked. And then they came out with the disclaimer of where their information came from. And I will let you read that here. There have been many questions about the country's forecast, especially the one focusing on the United States of America, USA. They won't be answered one by one, but below you can find some explanation, thoughts, and reflections. We are going to keep this as short as possible. Sure. So the majority of the economic and demographic data used in the making of the forecast is widely available by institutions such as the CIA. I could probably go to all of these: CIA, International Monetary Fund, United Nations. So it was funny, United Nations, huh? So all of that. So it's widely known information. Bullshit. None of these. The only ones who are really promoting any kind. There's like a depopulation or something that's going to be going on in the future is the United Nations with Agenda 21 and then Agenda 2030. So I mean, is there some kind of secret documents the CIA ain't showing us about depopulation? I don't know. But they go on with the disclaimer. And I will let you read all of it right here. I will not narrate to you the words. I don't have the time. I got to be to work here pretty soon. Despite the numeric... So you can stop the video and read. Now let's go on here. Despite the numeric data quantity, there is a quality model which has not a direct translation into numeric data. The 2014 strain of Ebola has a death rate of 50 to 60%. But try to imagine what would happen if there is a pandemic of Ebola with hundreds of thousands or millions infected with the virus. So far, the few cases of Ebola infected people have enjoyed intensive health care with antiviral and breathing assistance, but above all, with abundant human support by physicians and nurses. In a pandemic scenario, hello? So now we have this Delta 2 strain they're talking about. Well, okay. In a pandemic scenario, that kind of health care won't be available for the only overwhelming number of infected, leading to a dramatic increase of the death rate due to the lack of proper health care. Okay. So these are not words that I just put on here today. These are words that were being used in 2014. They're talking about a potential future pandemic that could lead to the death of millions. Well, okay. So now if I'm to remember all of the events that went on with the vid, and they were talking about how the hospitals were overwhelmed and people were dying left and right, and they had to stack the bodies into to cooler trucks and all this other stuff. It's almost as if they're laying it out for you how this is all going to play out. Okay? And the fact is that you just don't arbitrarily come up with a forecast that's going to talk about the decimation of over 2/3 of your own country 323 million people down to 54 million? Is that insane or what? To even think that they could just like come up with some number from somewhere. But anyway, so they go on to talk about the pandemic scenario for a 50% death toll to more than 90%. By the way, no pandemic or nuclear war is included in the forecast. But you're talking about it, so yeah, it might not be included, but you're alluding to the fact that that's a good possibility of what it's about. The key element to understand the process the USA will enter in the upcoming decade is migration. Okay, they start talking about bullshit crap, Ponzi schemes, and just read it. Stop the video and read it. All right. As a matter of fact, if you need me to enlarge it here for you, all right, let's do that for you. All right. Go ahead. Stop the video and read. Now, if I can, there we go. So they go on to state here, talk about the Soviet Union, all this other good stuff. Stop the video and read. And understand this. All of the information that Deagle collects for their website, for all things, comes from a country's, all of their governmental sources. For the United States, it's the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, the CIA, the NSA, and all of these different outlets that they get their information from. So tell me, which one of these agencies or all agencies have been sharing data that shows that the U.S. population is going to be reduced like that? I haven't seen anything, but except for maybe Henry Kissinger and all the others who've been promoting depopulation. I'm talking about Ted Turner. How about Oprah Winfrey? How about some of these others that have been promoting the depopulation of the United States or the globe as a whole? That's the interesting part. So as you've read this, now let's go to the final disclaimer coming out from Deagle.com last year. So I just wanted to show you before we move on to the other forecast. As you can see, the United States, they're going to lose 83% of their population. So we're not going to lose 54 million. We're going to be left with 54 million. That's their forecasted projection. Okay, so let's go. Let's look at the latest projection. Okay, and then we'll leave it at that. I got so much other stuff I could share with you, but this video is going to go on for too long, and I know that there's already people talking about, well, if it's longer than 5 minutes, I ain't sticking around for that shit. Well, whatever. Anyway, like I said, I don't do this because I care that someone doesn't want to sit around for 5 minutes. The evidence needs to be shared. You guys want to see all the evidence, and well, here it is. So there are 179 countries listed with the forecast for 2025. Click on the icons to sort the list. Okay. So here's, you'll see the United States. Oh, wow. Hey, look, they're forecasting that we're going to be saving 40 million people. Oh, goody. So now it's only 70% population we're going to lose. But if you look at all the United Kingdom, all of these countries, okay, all of them. Dude, look at this. See that? They are going to lose. They're going to lose a more percentage of a population of the United Kingdom than we are. That's according to Deagle.com. And here is their latest disclaimer. Here you go. I'm not going to read it all to you. I have to be to work here pretty soon. I am going to let you see it. Here it is. In 2014, we published a disclaimer about the forecast. In 6 years, the scenario has changed dramatically. This new disclaimer is meant to single out the situation from 2020 onwards. Talking about the United States and the European Union as separated entities no longer makes sense. Both are the Western Bloc, keeping printing money, and will share the same fate. After the vid, we can draw two major conclusions. The Western world's success model has been built over societies with no resilience that can barely withstand any hardship. Okay. So now, as you can see, this is their disclaimer. Read it all, folks. Because now, as they were talking about a pandemic scenario in the 2014 forecast disclaimer, Now, in the 2020 disclaimer, now they're talking about all out war between the United States and countries such as China and Russia and others against the United States. And that our allies are also going to share in the same fate with us, the United Kingdom, so on and so forth. So read as it goes on, the Great Reset. See, all of a sudden now they're talking about the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset. They're like, here it is, here it is, folks. This is your future. The Great Reset is now part of their forecasted depopulation. And because we've already seen that there's been depopulation talks with the World Economic Forum, and one of the statements made by Jane Goodall was very disturbing. About 500 million people would be ideal to sustain the globe. I use that word loosely because I know that there's going to be flat earthers going to say, "Hey, you bastard! I told you the Earth is flat." I don't give a shit about all that. We're talking about this right now, so you guys can save all that crap if I use the word globe. So it will only delay the inevitable. The core ruling elites hope to stay in power, which is in effect the only thing that really worries them. So go on, read it. Stop the video and read. Okay? And there you have it. So when you get to the bottom here, you're really going to like what they say here. It's kind of funny, actually. Because France takes a major hit then too. Back then, France did not have nuclear weapons to turn hegemony to turn a defeat into a victory. The West might try that swap because the unpleasant prospect of not being Mars and Venus, but rather a bully and his dirty bitch running away in fear while the rest of the world is laughing at them. If there is not a dramatic change, of course, the world is going to witness the first nuclear war. The Western Bloc collapse may come before, during, or after the war. It does not matter. A nuclear war is a game with billions of casualties, and the collapse plays in the hundreds of millions. So, to sum it up like this, folks, as I've said, since I have drawn the conclusion that the World Federation in Childhood's End is the World Economic Forum mirrored, then I have to ask myself whether the any other event in Childhood's End is going to be mirrored as well. There's a lot of talk from these entities that have been awaiting the arrival of some entity to return in this golden age. Is They've all been awaiting this. It's presented in Childhood's End, the return, and we see who it is. Now there's talk of depopulation, and we see that in Childhood's End that mankind is going to be pretty much wiped out. So I have to ask, if all things are showing us that that's the way that all the events in Childhood's End are going to go, well, then we have to ask, is the depopulation a part of it all? And I've shown you everything that the World Economic Forum stands for. And the whole thing is, it is not for you. It is only for the corporate entities that are in partner with them. It is only for, you're not going to own anything. All the corporations are going to own everything. There was a fascist coup attempt on the United States back in 1930-31. Like I said, I'm not sure if I even told you about this earlier, but I did it in another video that I had to cut out. That I ended up deleting it, so I don't know if I put it in here. But General Smedley Butler was approached by corporate heads of J.P. Morgan, DuPont, and many others in an attempt to have him lead the bonus marchers, and that was the soldiers from World War One, were demanding in Washington, D.C. that they be provided their bonus checks that were guaranteed from World War One because of the Great Crash. And when they were told no, because it's not the time for those bonuses to be paid yet, they all set up communities around Washington, D.C. called Hooverville. And Smedley Butler was asked if he would lead these bonus marchers in a coup, in a takeover of the government of the United States. Smedley Butler turned on the people who approached him approached him on this, and he gave them up. All these corporate entities were attempting to take over the United States to rule us all at that time. The only reason why it didn't come to fruition because one man had the balls to stand up and say, you know what, I love my country and I can see this for what it is. Screw you, I ain't doing it, and I'm giving you all up. Then a second attempt was trying to be made with the Knights of Malta and others in 1980 with the whole Cabazon Indian Reservation that Danny Casolaro, the reporter, stumbled across. There was going to be another attempt to take over with continuity government and everything else at the time. That got nipped in the bud. And now they set their sights on an even bigger prize, or it's actually been the prize the whole time, is world domination by the corporate entities and the masters. They're the masters, they're claiming, and that they serve one higher. One. I've shown you who that one is. I've shown you what they think of us, that we have the little wills of man. Well, everybody, now you know what I see. That's the evidence as I see it. And now I'll let you draw your own conclusions. You've read all this. You see the disclaimer about the pandemic scenario from then, and you see the World War, the nuclear war scenario now. There's only one thing that hasn't changed, and that is the population forecast country by country. Everybody that they list is going to take a huge hit. There are countries that are not going to take a hit at all. There's some that are going to show an increase. But we in the United States and the United Kingdom, France, Germany, all of these countries, according to them, they're going to be pretty much left in ruin. However that's going to happen doesn't really matter, does it? Because you really ain't going to be thinking about that when you're dodging bullets or whatever the case is. You're going to be trying to preserve your life, and the only way really that we'll have a chance of doing that is everybody seeing this for what it is that we don't want to be living under some authoritative rule that our lawmakers that we've put into position to represent us are now. I'm just saying that's what the people. That's how the people were going to view this. Well, I voted him in. Man, he's supposed to do my will. Oh, whatever. They're handing the reins over to somebody else against, and the will of the public are not having any say in that. Do you see what I'm saying? So there you have it. All right. Thanks, everybody.